Night we continued and had a fascinating discussion. People really sharing what's their experience with feeling love and yet at the same time feeling fear. So we are in the middle of chapter 41, and we were just discussing the person who is trying. He's listening to what the Alter Rebbe is saying. He's thinking these ideas. He's thinking God fills all, God creates all, God surrounds all, and God puts it all on the side to focus on me. And God needs me, and God's connecting to me, and the value and the power of everything I do in my service. And it's all he's thinking, he's meditating, he's contemplating, that you feel this fear, an awe, a nullification. That's what's supposed to happen, but it doesn't happen. He thinks, and nothing happens. So what's he supposed to do about it? And how is he supposed to look at this? The Rebbe said here, even if, so to speak, it didn't work, you think all the thoughts, you're trying to place upon yourself God as king, you're feeling your nullification, you want to be totally subsumed in his reality, aware of how he's penetrating and focusing, all of it, and nothing is happening. You're not feeling any fear. Nevertheless, since you sincerely accepted the yoke of heaven, there's a very critical point, and you're drawing out God's fear in your mind, and this is absolutely true without a doubt. This acceptance of God's authority is completely true. We know it's true. Because this is the nature of the Jew. This is the nature of the soul of the Jew. That our nature is not to rebel against God. So what the Rebbe is saying here is, you want to fear. You want to feel the emotion. You want to have that closeness of the emotion. You want to be completely nullified and one with God, and it's not happening. But the Rebbe said, I want you to know you're still doing real service. You don't have full-fledged fear. Your sense of awe is only in your mind. It's not penetrating your heart. You're not feeling it in your heart. So you feel, I'm a washout, I'm a loser, I'm trying, I'm walking the road, I'm following the God, and it's not happening. That's what I said, you're not a loser. Don't worry. What you're doing, as the Rebbe is going to say, is avodah shlema. It's a complete service of God, because you have two critical components. You have an acceptance of the yoke of God's authority, what we call Kabbalas Ol Machal Shemayim, accepting the yoke of God's authority. And you have some level of awe, of fear, of nullification. It's in your mind. It's not in your heart. We want it in our heart, but at least it's in our mind. When these two components are joined, when we have both, you're doing avodah, you're serving. I was thinking, I want to be a good servant of God, an Eved Havaya, servant of God. So I'm going to really think these thoughts, really immerse myself in them, and it's going to create this full flaming awe, fear, nullification to God in my heart. I'm so excited for this wonderful ecstatic experience, and it didn't happen. I'm not feeling it. Where is this? Okay. There are two other components. Instead of the fear being in your heart, the fear is in your mind. So it's somewhat fear, and you're accepting the yoke of God's authority. You're accepting God's sovereignty. You're nullifying yourself to him. That's also somewhat service. So some degree of service of accepting the yoke of heaven, Kabbalas Ol Machal Shemayim, some degree of service of the fear in your mind. You put the two together, the Kabbalas Ol, the acceptance of the yoke of heaven, with the fear that at least you got into your mind. The two together, it's serving. You passed. You did it. You're serving. If you only had one, it wouldn't work. If you only have that acceptance of God's authority, but no fear on any level, no awe, no sense of going in that direction, even in your mind, it's not enough to call it service. You have the fear in your mind, but that's it. No acceptance of the yoke of heaven. Well, it's definitely not service, because the fear is not even in your heart. But if I put the two together, a little bit like this and a little bit like this, it makes it. It's service. And the Rebbe says, and we know this is absolutely real. How do you know it's so absolutely real? How do you know, Alter Rebbe? Maybe I'm faking it to myself. Maybe this isn't me. Maybe I'm just giving mental lip service to these concepts. The Alter Rebbe says, no, this is the nature of the Jew. The Jew by nature wants God, wants to serve, wants to be nullified, is submitting himself to God's authority. The Lubavitcher Rebbe very often quotes a different concept that's very similar, a different support for this, from Maimonides, from Rambam. Very interesting law. It's a law, not a cop-out, it's not a joke, it's a law. The law is that a man has to willingly give a divorce, and only then is a woman divorced, and the man, the couple is only divorced when the man willingly gives and the woman accepts this divorce. Let's say the man says, I don't want to give her a divorce. I don't have a problem with the relationship. I'm not interested in it stopping. I don't want to free her to marry someone else. But the court, the Beit Din said, no, she deserves a divorce. Well, I don't want to give her one. The law is I have to want to give it to her. So the court has a solution. They beat the man until he says, I want to give the divorce. Oh, good. You want to do it. Beautiful. Now you can willingly give the divorce and she's accepting it. Wonderful. Question is, what's going on here? He doesn't want to give the divorce. He clearly doesn't want to give the divorce. He wants to not get beaten. No, that's not what's happening. The Rebbe says he wants to give the divorce. Why does he want to give the divorce? Because the rabbis, the court, the Beit Din is telling him he's supposed to give the divorce. This is the will of God. Every Jew in their core wants to do God's will. So at the moment, it's covered over. Like for a lot of us, a lot of the time, we're sort of covered over from our real reality, from what's really going on in our core. So it's covered over. He's not in touch with himself. He says, I don't want to give her that freedom. I don't want to marry someone else. I don't want to lose a cook and a housekeeper and whatever. I don't want to. That's not his reality. That's the junk covering over his reality. So when we're beating him, we're in essence breaking away all these barriers that his real self comes out. When his real self comes out, he truly does want to give her the divorce because that's what God wants. That concept, the Lubavitcher Rebbe quotes many times to show the nature of the Jew. And the Alter Rebbe here is meaning the same thing. Your nature is to serve God. You want to connect to God. You love God. You fear God. You want to be one with God. At the moment, you're not exactly feeling it emotionally. The Rebbe says, I know you. Maybe I know you better than you know yourself. I know you. I know your soul. I know this is what you want. So if you are officially accepting upon yourself the yoke of God's authority, you're thinking about it, which we discussed last week. That was a whole concept within the tefillin and within the tzitzis, this negating ourselves to God, accepting God's sovereignty, accepting God's yoke. So you're consciously thinking, God, I accept you as king. I mean, this is very timely, of course. Rosh Hashanah is coming in less than 2 weeks. And that's the energy of Rosh Hashanah. God, you're the king. God, be king. God, we want you as king. God, please rule over us and bring Mashiach already. So you're consciously accepting God's yoke. That's real, because that's what your soul wants. You're consciously working on a fear, awe relationship, which you only created in your mind. But it's real, the Rebbe says, because that's what you want. So these two very real services, either one, which wouldn't be enough, but we put the two together, you're serving. You're serving actually completely. Don't worry. Don't feel less than. Don't feel you weren't good enough. You are serving. The Rebbe goes on to say, hooray. So therefore, because he has this real service going on, ha-Torah shalom made, the Torah that he is studying, or ha-mitzvah she'oseh, or the commandment that he is doing, mechamas kabbalah zu, because of this acceptance of God's yoke and that fear in his mind, mechamas hamshachas hayir shebemocho, his drawing down the fear in his mind, nikros b'shem avodah shlema. It's complete service, not just service. Avodah shlema. Shlema, shalem means complete, whole, perfect. You're like, it's not perfect. The Rebbe says, trust me, it's perfect. With your sincere acceptance of God's yoke, with your sincere attempts at creating fear and awe, which right now you have in your mind, put the two together. As you serve with this perspective, as you serve from this foundation, your service is avodah shlema. God views it as absolute complete service, as if you had this full flaming awe and fear in your heart. Umalko, like all the services of a servant to his master, to his king. Masha ein king, which is not so. If you didn't do this, you're still serving. You think you're studying the Torah. You're doing the commandments. And you're even doing them with an emotion. You're amazing. You're doing them with the love of God. That's wonderful. It is wonderful, but guess what? It's not avodah. It's not service. It's wonderful. We're very impressed. You have one of the two wings we were speaking about for 3 chapters. But it's not avodah. This is an amazing point the Rebbe is saying. If you want to have avodah, you want to be the eved, you want to be the servant of God, even if you're doing it and you're doing it with love, it's not enough. Kidei l'davka bo. Not only do you have a love, you have such a pure love that your whole service is to cling to God. I love you, God. I want to be with you. I want to be one with you. And I know I'm one with you through the commandments. That's amazing. It is, but it's not service. I want to be one with you. I'm not just having some emotional thing. I'm bottom line doing what you want, what you, God, have said is the connector between the two of us. Your road, the commandments, studying Torah. So I'm loving with this desire to be one with you. And I'm bottom line doing your will, your Torah and your commandments as the means of us being one to fulfill this tremendous love I have for you. And the Rebbe says, it's great, it's wonderful, but it's still not service. It's not service. Why is it not service? Because love is an extension of self. Service means nullifying. Even though God wants you to love him and God wants you to serve him with love, but if it's only with love, you're not nullified. It's not service. You're not serving God as your king, as your master. You're loving God. You're connecting to God. You are connecting to God. We are not knocking anything you're doing. It's true love. It's with a true intention to connect. You are walking the road of Torah and commandments, and you are connecting, but you're not serving. Because service, by definition, has to be nullification. And love, without the fear and acceptance of God's yoke, it's not about nullification, it's about self. It's really very interesting if you think about this, because it really means and we don't think about this to think about it, but if you do, there's almost like a constant dichotomy in our relationship with God. We so love him and we have such nullification toward him. And the two really should not coexist. It doesn't really make much sense, but that's being a Jew. A Jew means we're nullified. If we were nullified, it's not service. And from the foundation of nullification, we love God so much and we so desire to be connected and we so are doing the service that connects us. So all that love, which normally should mean self, but it doesn't mean that here because of the foundation. Remember, this is what we learned at the beginning of this chapter, that the preliminary service, the foundation of our service is the nullification. But if you don't have that, the Rebbe says it's amazing what you're doing, but it's not service. So a person could say, so to speak, big deal. We spent 3 chapters, right? 37, 38, 39, all focusing on love and fear, love and fear, love and fear. And I got love. And the truth is, the first 40 chapters of Tanya were all about love. And I have love. And I'm doing because of the love. It's not just this emotion that's going nowhere. I'm doing the commandments. I'm studying the Torah. So I'm doing service. So I'm not the eved. I'm not the slave. I'm not the servant. It's okay. The Rebbe says, no, it's not. Because Torah demands us to serve. God wants us to serve. And as we serve, have that love as well. So the Rebbe continues and says, Torah Amra, and the Torah says, and you shall serve God, your God. And him you shall serve. As it explains in the Zohar. Before I get into the part of the Zohar, let me just focus on the point that I was making here. So the Rebbe is saying, this is a Torah value. This is a value of Torah. This is what Torah wants from you. So you can't say, I'm doing the commandments, I'm loving even, I'm doing them with love. I mean, truly, this person sounds amazing. I'm very impressed. So I don't have service. The Rebbe says you can't just say, so I don't have service. This is what God wants. So the Rebbe says, if you really love, if you really want that relationship with God, you've got to understand his terms. You have to understand what he needs from you. And what he needs from you is to serve him. Love God. You want a relationship with God. So God says, this is how I need the relationship. For the relationship to work, and we're going to give a very long quotation from the Zohar, and we'll discuss it, why it has to be this way. But before we understand why, God's saying, for the relationship to work, you have to serve. And to serve, you have to nullify. You have to have the awe, have the fear, have the acceptance of the yoke, and of course, doing everything also have the love.
So can you repeat your question? I didn't understand.
The Rebbe here is giving us a very almost challenging directive. The Rebbe is saying God wants everything. He wants and needs your loving relationship, as he loves you so much. And he wants and needs your submission, your nullification. And for us, those two emotions might seem very like either this or this. Either I'm focused on how much God loves me and I feel so loved by God and I love God. Or maybe I'm feeling very vulnerable and maybe like, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world or in my life. I feel needy. I feel vulnerable. I feel like I want to make sure I'm, on God's good side, so to speak. I want to make sure I'm not going to get in trouble. I'm not going to get hurt. But God's saying, no, I need both. Not this or that. I need both. So I'm asking in your lives how you've seen this. Have you seen this that sometimes you veer more to love, but then realize you have to balance it by the awe and the submission, or the opposite? Or you've had the love without the awe and submission and you see that it doesn't really work. I'm asking you what the Rebbe is saying, which I think is very practical, how we see this pan out in our own lives.
I would say sometimes I truly feel that I am loved. How do I feel it? It's like when I have some challenges and I don't know how to handle them, and suddenly I receive, aha, I know. How this I am not, I was smart the same 5 minutes ago, everything. So what happened during this 5 minutes, what made me realize that I could solve this issue this way or that way? And at that moment I'm almost, I would say, so much in awe that, oh my goodness, thank God you gave me this response. And I don't know, true or not, but I don't want to share this with somebody, but in my mind I'm thinking, I believe that it was given to me, this somehow from above was given to me how to be in this or other situation. And at that moment, I believe God loves me. That's how I
What you're
feel.
saying, actually, Miriam, how you said it is you really said both. Because when you're receiving this divine inspiration, and I totally understand what you're saying, when you're receiving this divine inspiration, you feel how much God loves you, which totally, and each one of us could put different details and window dressing to what Miriam said. But I hope and believe that we all have those moments. It could be like Miriam's situation. It could be in different things. Something works out. You just feel loved. You just feel God's taking care of you. You just feel God's showering you with good. So we feel loved. But what Miriam said was very interesting. She also said she had the awe, that sense of awe, almost like the
Yeah.
wow of
Wow. Right.
God
Right.
doing this. And that awe is already the other side. The awe
And this
from
is
the fear. So you really are combining the two, which is amazing.
okay. And I truly, like I said, I amazed, like, oh my goodness, how this could happen. I'm almost like, I would tear. I get emotional of thinking, who am I? And I was giving this gift of love, right?
When you think that, I'm just focusing on what Miriam's saying so we could like see this work, because I think it's great what she's saying. She said, who am I to receive such kindness from God? When a person, and I don't think Miriam's the only one that thinks that. I'm sure many of us have the feeling. I'm sure many of us, I hope every single one of us, and I hope frequently, we feel loved by God. We feel cherished by God. We feel nurtured by God. We feel pampered by God. I hope we all, at various moments, just feel God's pampering me. God's taking such good care of me. in all the little details. So Miriam said, she has this thought, who am I that I should receive this from God? That thought is the fear end. So, and this is really a beautiful synergy of both of these dimensions. Because on one hand, you feel so loved. And of course, the more you feel loved, the more you love. So there's tremendous love you're feeling for God now. But when you also feel humbled by what's going on, who am I to receive this? You're feeling the nullification. You're feeling the fear. You're feeling the awe. This is, of course, as is explained in a later section of Tanya, the concept that we have in the Chumash from Yaakov Avinu, that it says about Yaakov, that he said to God, Katonti mikol hachasadim mikol ha'emes. I feel so small from all of your kindnesses. And in essence, he meant what Miriam means. You've given me so much. So instead of you give me so much, so I feel like I'm so great because look, God showers so much on me. I mean, it must show what an amazing person I am. I mean, that's what the side of evil would say, the side of ego would say. But Yaakov, Jacob, the side of godliness, the side of truth, the more he receives, the more he feels small. He feels unworthy. Who? Him? Miriam saying the same thing. Who am I to deserve all this kindness from God? This is unbelievable. So anyone else, any other sense along those lines?
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I spoke too much maybe, but I want to say few more thoughts, if it please. So when I have this, I said, oh, I also have fear. I fear that what if I'm not gonna get this love another time? And that fear bugs me. I couldn't even say, like I said, sometime when I receive this and I feel this love and I'm in awe and I'm pleased and I'm humbled, but then at the same time I'm scared. What is last time? What about if it's gonna be just last time and I will not receive this anymore?
So
And
that
then
fear is called that fear of losing the relationship. And
so
that is
what do I
legitimate
do?
fear.
How
You turn that into service, because if I fear, what if I'm not going to get this again? I feel so close and so loved and so warm and so cherished and so nurtured, and what if this is the last time? So I want to use that as the catalyst to serve more. I know how good it feels to be so close. So God, I don't want to lose this. So I want to give to you more. So I really make sure this relationship stays very tight and very close, and we don't get separated. So that fear is also good, meaning we want the love and we want the fear. So you have the love, you have the awe, and now you're also saying you have this component of fear. So some people might say, oh, you shouldn't go in that direction. But no, I think it's good because it's fear. It's fear of losing the relationship. That is a legitimate fear of God. And that fear of losing the relationship propels us to serve more deeply. That's how you're supposed to translate that fear. You're not supposed to translate that fear into, okay, I'm stymied, I can't do anything because I'm so nervous. But okay, I got to do more because this is so wonderful and I feel so close and I want to stay this close. So how do I stay this close? By doing more. Someone else. What Miriam said was amazing, but I'd like to hear from someone else if we could, because this is something we all go through one way or another. So anyone else's sense of how they balance these different.
Hi, Rebecca. So
Hi.
I think that 2 weeks ago, when you were in shul, it's exactly the question that I asked. I said, who am I? Like, who am I to belong to this amazing group at Bet Mashiach? And so now you're saying that it's actually is being said. I mean, I just feel so blessed that so many times I would ask, who am I? Who am I for this? So you're saying that it is actually the fear of God?
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's exactly what Miriam was saying, to feel so blessed where you are in life and your Beit Knesset, your shul, your community, to feel so blessed, to feel so loved by God, and that evokes your love of God. And to have that sense, like Miriam was saying, like Jacob said, I'm humbled by all of God's goodness. That's the sense of like, who am I to get this all from God? What did I do to deserve all this from God? So that's very good. because that means your fear and your love are coupled. You've got both.
Mhm.
And that's what the Alter Rebbe is saying we need. And we're going to explain that the love without that awe, nullification, fear component, it doesn't work. But definitely the more God gives us, the more we feel loved, and we feel loved and loved. But if we don't have that awe and nullification component, it could become like a me trip, an ego trip, an I trip. Yeah,
Right.
Jack is giving me so much. I guess I really deserve all this. And when it's like, who am I to deserve it? That's very good, because that's the nullification. And that nullification is really, has to really be foundational to that love.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Have they seen that? Have anyone seen here? They have the love and didn't have the fear or the nullification, and they realized something was off, or they had the fear without having the love. Anyone else has had experiences they'd like to share?
When I bench licht, I actually say katanti.
Really?
Yeah,
Because
because
you feel it then so strongly, like all the brachos?
I do. And it's such a personal, special time. Even if I rush to get there, which
Right, I'm
there's
just thinking, the mad
there's
rush,
never
but
been
free,
a time
free.
that I didn't
That's
rush. But it's just, and I look forward, and I really save the katanti for Shabbos and Yontif to say that, and it's just it really it's very precious to me. But I didn't realize that it is a way of nullification, because I'm just bubbling over with gratefulness. So when you think nullification, maybe it has a little bit of a negative connotation. I don't know.
It is. And I think that's beautiful. I never heard of anyone that took that on as like their personal custom. And I like it very much. And I think it's a beautiful way for us to balance this sense of just like being so loved, but katonti, I'm so undeserving. And God, you keep pouring on me, and I'm so undeserving. And that's really special. It's a really beautiful idea to do that. Sarah was saying, fear, nullification, those don't sound like nice, fun, warm emotions. And when she's saying katonti, she feels so full of God's love, so full of God's blessings. It doesn't feel like a nullified moment. But what katonti is expressing is, I'm so unworthy of all the good you're giving me. What you give me far surpasses anything I ever deserve. That's the nullification. So nullification doesn't have to feel like flattened. Nullification, you could be very full, and at the same time you're nullified, because who am I to get this? And that's the point the Rebbe is making here, or going to continue to make, that is, I'm loving, but foundational to my love is my nullification. When I say katonti, what Sarah was referring to was what I was mentioning before in connection with Miriam's talking, what Miriam sharing with us, that there's an expression that Yaakov Avinu, that Jacob said to God after God, he had been in the house of Lavan for 20 years, and now he's about to encounter Esav again. So this is deep into his journey, where he's been, as he sees it, showered by God's blessings. And he said a verse, Katonti mikola chesed mikola emes, I'm so small from all your kindness, from all your truth. Ki b'makli avarti es hayarden, because when I went on this journey, I just had my staff. I had literally nothing else. He was actually naked, because whatever, Esav's son, instead of killing him, stripped him of everything. And now I'm coming back with all of this, with my wives, with my children, with my flocks, with my wealth. Who am I? What am I to deserve this? So that's a verse. It's a verse in Torah. What this is like the preliminary to Jacob's prayer to God to save him from Esav, is Jacob expressing his sense of like, wow, you've done so much for me, and now I'm going to ask you for something more. But what Sarah was saying is that she says this herself when she's lighting the candles, because she's thinking about how wealthy she is, all the wealth God has bequeathed to her. And she's feeling the same emotion of like, wow, Who am I to have this? Anyone else? Any other thoughts on how you in your own life have this love with or without fear, nullification, awe, the love, or maybe the
I just wanted to add to what I said before is that so I get all this goodness from Hashem, but sometimes I feel guilty because I feel that I'm not giving back enough. You know, in my avoda, in my service, I'm kind of limited. You know, so that's one of the things I say. Who am I? I mean, wow. And I want to feel more deserving by what I do, but I just feel I don't do. You know what I mean? Does
so
it make sense?
today the word guilt could be a very trigger word to connote a lot of not good things. But I would say that you don't have to view it that way. The guilt, we could look at it as healthy Jewish guilt, which means this, like I said to Miriam, the push to do more. In other words, if you're saying, wow, I feel guilty because you're giving me so much, and what am I giving to you? Transform that to, so I'm going to give to you. So I want to deserve it. So I want to be worthy. So I want to, like, so Miriam was saying this fear of like, I have so much, but I might never have this again because I really don't deserve it. And you're saying, not, I won't have it again, but you're giving me and giving me and giving me, but I feel guilty. You're giving me so much. I'm not giving you that much. So for both, I think it's the same point. I think both could be, if you use them properly, healthy nullification with this sense of, so I'm going to do more. I'm going to do more. I want to be a mensch too. I want to step up to the plate too. If I feel like undeserving to such a degree, that should compel me to give you more. And then that, what you're calling guilt and what Miriam called fear, are really very good. It's on that other side, that side of nullification, and we need it as well as we need the love. We need both.
My reaction was love is like natural to me, just as fear is not natural. Love is natural. But on hearing everyone speaking, hearing you speaking, the idea of all the trials and tribulations that I go through, that what goes through produces the emotion of fear that we have to step up to the plate, and we just can't sit back and have love. We have to do what it's going to make to get over these trials and tribulations.
Absolutely. And that might be why we have those trials and tribulations. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that could be, so this, what my mother is saying is my mother. And what she's saying is, and I think what she said is true for many of us, she said, love is so natural to her. Fear doesn't seem so natural. And I think that sort of echoes what Sarah was saying when Sarah said nullification. She doesn't think of nullification as like a positive word. Nullification is like a not such a great feeling emotion. And I think for a lot of us, I think it's our generation. I think we much more naturally feel love, which is very interesting and unusual. We think it's normal because we feel this way, and many people around us feel this way, if you ever take a poll. But it didn't used to be like this. It really didn't. It used to be the most natural feeling for God was fear. Fear of getting whacked, fear of getting punished, fear of losing good. And love already meant you were a more spiritual person. You were a person that worked on yourself. And that was how it was for generations and generations and generations. And only now, as we're so close to Mashiach, to the redemption, this has really shifted. It's just shifted in the air. And I think what my mother is saying is true for almost the majority of us. I would say, I would definitely feel it's a majority. Again, I'm not going to take a poll now, but I definitely think for most of us, we love God. We feel loved by God and we love God. And fear is maybe a little more awkward a feeling. We're not so used to it. But then, I don't know what that. When you think about it within the context of, like she said, the hard things we go through sometimes and overcoming those hard things, or as other people said here tonight, feeling unworthy, feeling we're going to lose it, all those things, yeah, that's the fear component. That's the awe component. That's the nullification component. And as we are definitely not going to do today, but we will definitely do next week, God willing, we desperately need both. Because if we only had the love and the feeling blessed and feeling more blessed and feeling more blessed and the love and the love and the love and the spiraling love and love and love and love, which is wonderful, but we lose it. We lose that nullification that's about God. And it could just become about us. And for other reasons as well, as we'll discuss next week, we really need in some way, and everyone could do it slightly differently, and many people tonight had slightly different variations on this theme, but some way actually through the love and through feeling the blessings and through feeling God's closeness, also feeling this nullification. And that's really what we need. We really, really, really need both.